Alright guys, today we're going to look at kindness and the effect kindness can have on your life. You see, kindness is something that we all kind of know that we should have and we should do in our lives. And we always tend to look at kindness from a moral, philosophical, spiritual perspective of kindness is something that makes you a good person, it's the right thing to do, love thy neighbor, and all these kind of parables and virtues and wisdoms. And I'm not saying these things don't have value, I believe that they do. But what I want to do in this video is approach kindness from a slightly different perspective. A scientific, psychological perspective. A perspective of how kindness makes you a happier and better person. Because what research is demonstrating is that kindness is an intrinsic part of your happiness. You see, when we perform kindness, kindness makes us have an increased sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. And if you think about it, this makes sense. If we're able to perform kindness, if we're able to give service to someone else, then that suggests that we as a person have some intrinsic value. There is something about us that has value that we can give to someone else. Thus, that creates a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. It makes us happier, more fulfilled people. So what I'm going to do in this video is approach kindness not from the love thy neighbor perspective necessarily, but a little bit more about what kindness means for us from that psychological, scientific perspective. And when it comes to talking about happiness and kindness, we really have one lady to thank for a lot of the work in this area. And her name is Sonia Lieber-Mirsky. She's a Harvard psychologist and the author of The How of Happiness. And she's a happiness expert, as the title of her book suggests. And what her research focuses on is how we become happier. What are the things that make us happier? Why are some people happier than others? What techniques and practices do we need to have in our lives to be happier? And what her research is showing unequivocally is that kindness is one of those aspects. And her team have delved deeper into kindness. And what is it about kindness that makes us happier? And there's a really interesting study that she did into kindness. And what the study did was they got 3 different groups of participants. And they measured all of their happiness scores at the beginning of a week. And then the first group went through the week doing things as normal. They were the control group. And their happiness score was measured at the end of the week. Then they had a group who went through the week performing kind acts on every single day of the week. And the third group who performed kind acts on just one day of the week. And unsurprisingly, the control group, the group who didn't perform any kind acts, showed no difference in their happiness scores at the end of the week. The 2 groups who did kindness interventions both had improved happiness scores at the end of the week. But here's where things get interesting and somewhat confusing. Because what Sonia and her team found was that the group who had done kind acts on just one day of the week showed greater increases in their happiness scores than the group who had done kindness acts on each day of the week. So what's the explanation for this? How can doing something on just one day of the week have a greater increase in happiness than doing something every day of the week? So Sonia and her team looked at the different research in the field, different psychological theories. And what she's pinpointed it to is something called habituation. I'm sure that's a term you're familiar with. Habituation is when we become used to something. For example, right now, I'm filming on my iPhone. The iPhone is 10 years old. When the iPhone first came out, it was amazing. It was a luxury. You could do your phone calls, your messages, your email, you could surf the web, you had apps, you had notes, you had your calculator. All of this potential was contained in just a single device. 10 years ago, the iPhone was revolutionary. Now here, 10 years later in 2017, it's a necessity. Pretty much all of us have a smartphone of some description now. All of those capabilities are not a luxury, they're expected. And indeed, how often do we moan when one of those things, such as we lose signal, or we lose our email, or we don't have internet, or our app stop working? How often does that make us complain in life? And 10 years ago, it was a luxury. This is the power of habituation. We have become habituated and used to our smartphones. And this is what Sonia and her team realized was happening in the second group with their kindness. What was happening was that group was becoming habituated to kindness. It was no longer something that stood out to them and had significance for them. It was something that they did as part of their everyday routine. It had almost become an obligation rather than something they were doing out of the goodness of their heart. However, the group who was doing it on just one day of the week, that was something unique and different and special, and thus it had a unique and different and special effect on them. So the rather counterintuitive conclusion that Sonia and her team came to was that if you want to be a happier person from a purely self-centered personal well-being point of view, then pick a day of the week to perform your kind acts on. Don't try and be kind every single day of the week. Have a designated kindness day. Let's say it's Friday. And what Sonia also recommends is when you have that designated kindness day, you do different kind acts on that day. Again, this combats the power of habituation. If you imagine walking down the street and you give a bit of change to every homeless person you meet, that would feel pretty good and pretty kind when you first did it, but eventually it would start to wear off and lose its effect, and it would start to feel like a habituated routine that was almost an obligation rather than a kind act. So, those are two suggestions that she has to combat the power of habituation and to make sure that every kind of thing that we do has the maximum effect. Have a specific kindness day, pick different kind acts to do. And she has a third suggestion, and this is a suggestion that I have as well actually, is to make sure that one of those kind acts is something that nobody will find out about. You see, I think it's fine to expect things in return for our kindness. One of the questions I was asked not so long ago was, David, is it okay for me to do things and want to do good things in order to get recognition for doing good things? I said, of course, that's okay. The universe operates in equations and equilibriums. Every force has an equal and opposing force. If we're giving something into the world, it's only natural to expect that we receive something in return. And of course, there's different ways to go about this. You can do something purely out of selfish intentions and just wanting to take and get from the world. There's a difference between that and expecting and looking for recognition in return for what you're doing. And I think it's perfectly okay to expect to receive something when we give, when we contribute. That is the world's natural equation. However, this is the caveat. Going back to our moral, philosophical, spiritual perspectives on kindness makes us a better person, it's a good virtue to have, it's the right thing to do. I do believe we also have to be kind, not just from the self-centered, this makes me happier, this makes me better, it helps me to receive from the universe. I do believe we also have to be kind because it's the right thing to do. So, make sure one of your kind acts that you do will not be discovered by anyone. This is not you looking to be happier, this is not you looking to receive something from the world and from the universe. This is purely because you have the capacity within you to be kind, to help someone out, and that is reward within itself. So guys, there is a slightly different look at kindness and how kindness makes you a happier and better person. I hope this video has helped. If you can become a kinder person, then you start to author your life. You start to rewrite the script for how your life is going. I look forward to speaking to you in the next video, but until then, go out there and live a life of love and service. I'll speak to you soon. David. Hey guys, it's David again. Just a quick couple things to cover before you have to shoot off. First of all, if you liked this video and if you've been enjoying the content on the channel thus far, then could I ask you to please click that big red subscribe button below. That way you're sure never to miss any content and you can keep up with all the training and knowledge that I'm sharing on the channel. Second of all, if you feel that this video was impactful for you, and if you feel that there's a person or a group in your life who could really benefit from the message in this video, could I ask you please to share it with them? Share it with anyone who you could feel could benefit from this training. You see, I'm doing everything I can to get my message out there to all the people who need to hear it. But there's only so much I can do by myself. So I'm asking you guys, as my fans and supporters, to help me spread this message and help impact as many people's lives as possible. And then third of all, if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about my story and the 3 most powerful life lessons I've learned, then you can find this in my latest book, The Last 60 Minutes. This is a book that will help you find meaning and vibrancy in your life. Go to the video description below and there will be a link where you can look at the book and find out more information about it. And if you find yourself reading it, I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for in there. So guys, until next time, remember to go out there and live a life of love and service. I look forward to speaking to you soon.